Okay, so I want everyone to turn to the page that contains numbers 1 and 2 in your packet. Pause the video, complete numbers 1 and 2, and then also write number 3 at the bottom of the next page. We are not going to be using the problem on the next page, so you can use that space to work on number 3. All right, so number 1 asks you, given this polynomial f of x and f of 1 equals 0, to write the polynomial in factored form. So the first thing we want to notice is that if f of 1 equals 0, I know that x minus 1 is a factor. So I'm going to do one of these problems with long division and one with box division. I'm going to do the first one with long division. So we've got x to the 4th plus x cubed minus 6x squared minus 4x plus 8. I'm going to start by having a division thought. X to the 4th divided by x is x to the 3rd. I'm going to multiply back. I'm going to subtract and bring down. So it gives me 2x cubed minus 6x squared. I'm going to have a division thought. 2x cubed divided by x is 2x squared. I'm going to multiply back 2x cubed minus 2x squared. I'm going to subtract and bring down. So that gives me negative 4x squared minus 4x. I'm going to divide negative 4x squared by x, and I get negative 4x. I'm going to multiply back, and I get negative 4x squared plus 4x. Then when I subtract, this becomes negative 8x. And then I'm going to bring down the plus 8, have a division thought, and I get negative 8x, sorry, negative 8, which makes negative 8x plus 8, and I'm out of space, which is fine because that means there is no remainder. They subtract perfectly. So my first step in part A, and this is going to be a couple steps, is going to be x minus 1 times x cubed plus 2x squared minus 4x minus 8. And then I need to factor this polynomial by grouping. So I'm going to pause on the x minus 1 for a second. And from my quotient, the first two terms, I'm going to take out x squared, and I'm left with x plus 2. And then the second two terms of my quotient, I'm going to take out negative 4, and I'm left with x plus 2. So now I'm going to bring down the f of x, and then the x minus 1. And then I've got x squared minus 4 times x plus 2. The x squared minus 4 can factor. So my final factorization for letter A is going to be f of x equals x minus 1. This becomes x plus 2, x minus 2, and then the x plus 2 that's at the end. So that's my final answer for letter A, to write f of x in factored form. The zeros, if I set this function equal to 0, I get zeros of 1, negative 2, and I get, whoop, wrong parentheses there, and there are actually 2 negative 2s, 2 and then negative 2, or you can just write that negative 2, that this is a double. Okay. So now I need to create a graph. So letter C. Oh, let's get some straight line tool. That was terrible. So I noticed that the original function in standard form is 4th degree and has a leading coefficient of 1. And that tells me it's going to go up on both the right and the left. So I've scaled my graph off. Please make sure you scale your graph nicely. And negative 2 is a double. And then 1 and 2 are singles. So my graph is going to be a double root. What didn't quite make it. Let's try again. And then single roots. So the graph should look something like that for letter C. Number 2, you're told for f of x, f of negative 2 is 0. So now I know that x plus 2 is a factor. And because I divided the other one with long division, I'm going to use the box for number 2. Let's get a box. And dividing by a binomial means 2 rows. So x plus 2. This is going to be 3x squared cubed. This is going to be negative 8x squared. This is going to be negative 13x. And then this is going to be 30. So 3x cubed goes in the top left box. 3x cubed divided by x is 3x squared. Multiply back. Negative 8 minus 6 becomes negative 14x squared. Negative 14x squared divided by x is negative 14x. Negative 14x times 2 becomes negative 28x. Now just be really careful here. Negative 13 minus negative 28 becomes 15x. Divide, you get 15. Multiply back, you get 30. So we start off letter A with the factorization x plus 2 times 3x squared minus 14x plus 15. Now, before I go on to state the zeros, I want to make sure that this trinomial doesn't factor any further. So I'm going to check 3 times 15 is 45. And you know what, guys, sure enough, 9 times 5 is 45. And 9, if I made both of those negatives, that would add up to 14. So this is going to factor using box or split the middle, depending on what you prefer. So I'm going to split the middle. So I've got this 9x minus 5x plus 15. This is a lot of black pen. Let's switch to purple. So from these two, I'm going to take out 3x. I get x minus 3. From these two, I'll take out a negative 5 and x minus 3. And so now I get f of x. I'm going to bring down my x plus 2. And from my trinomial factoring, I get 3x minus 5, x minus 3. So my zeros are negative 2, 5/3, and 3. And this is leading coefficient is positive, degree is odd. I'm just going to make a teeny tiny graph right here. I'm going to fit it in. So I've got 1, 2. These are all single zeros, nice and easy. 1, 2, 3. And then 5/3 is somewhere between 1 and 2. And then I'm just going to fit my curve in like that. So that's 1 and 2. Number 3, we're told that f of x is a polynomial function with leading coefficients of 1 and zeros of negative 3, 2i, and negative 2i. And letter A is asking us to write f of x in factored form. So we're going to start f of x equals 1, and then the 0 of negative 3 becomes x plus 3. 2i becomes x minus 2i, and then x plus 2i. Now, this has come up in the homeworks, and I want to address this situation. We can't leave I in a function. It's just not proper. We think about polynomials. We only deal with real coefficients with whole number degrees, and this just isn't going to cut it. So we need to multiply this together. You have 2 options. You can multiply x times x, x times 2i, negative 2i times x, and then negative 2i times positive 2i, and then negative 4i squared becomes plus 4, and I see these guys cancel themselves out because one's positive, one's negative, and I end up with x squared plus 4. Now, I personally don't do that. What I do, let me write this down, and I think this is what most of you probably feel more comfortable doing, is you're thinking to yourself, okay, if x equals plus or minus 2i, how did I get there? Well, I probably took the square root of negative 4 to get 2i. And then before that, I probably had x squared plus 4 equals 0. It is totally up to you how you want to arrive at that factor. So that's factored form. B is asking for standard form. So to complete f of x in standard form, I am simply going to multiply together x plus 3 times x plus 4. We'll switch colors. Here we go. F of x equals, and the 1's there, so like 1 times anything is 1. X cubed plus 4x plus 3x squared plus 12. And that's not quite in standard form, so I'm going to make it f of x equals x squared cubed plus 3x squared plus 4x plus 12, and now it's in standard form. Okay, so if you're watching this video because Mrs. Strauss is absent today, we have some announcements. There is no homework or quiz this weekend. We do have, however, our polynomial quest is during our Zoom class next Friday. And please remember that the module will lock on the 26th. I also encourage you to make a note of the schedule changes, especially notice that our times have changed for our afternoon classes. Also, please make a note that math extra help, in addition to C days, will be Friday and Tuesday morning. So go ahead and take a screenshot of that. Okay, we're going to skip this problem. Whoops. And all that work is still, I'm going to actually leave this work up. It's pretty good work. At this point, you're just going to work on numbers 10 to 15. You can look at the notes file from yesterday. All of this work is there. And you can see how I did almost every problem. I've done almost every one. Again, there is no homework this weekend, but I encourage you to use your remaining time today to finish this classwork.